What's going on, guys? We're picking up right where we left off on the last part of this, and we're going to the next day. So, one thing I want to say real quick about the event is the daily Arundum pool. I've probably averaged about 500 Arundum per day, which is almost a free pool every day, not to mention the fact that they give you a free pool on reset. So, honestly, you're almost getting 2 pulls a day, which is really good, which is basically, for the most part, almost going to guarantee that you're going to get these 6 stars as long as you're doing other stuff during the event and you can spend. But we're not going to focus on the event on this one because I had finished all the stages, IC 1 through 9. So I decided to, since it was a Monday reset, use my unlock token on another event. And so I chose the Who is Real event. Somebody in the comments had talked that they had joined during that time, so I figured you might as well look into it and see what it's like. And I gotta say, I love the aesthetic, the whole vibe you get from this map, and I also love the Yin and Yang aspect. I believe it's called Hui and Ming, but it's essentially Yin and Yang. So how it works is the enemies will come out with a certain thing over their head. The orb will either be the light or the dark version. So if you have a defender sitting on the light flames down there or the dark flames, if it's the same symbol, then they take reduced damage from that target. And I believe they also deal reduced damage. I could be wrong on that. I might have to re-look into it. But if they're on the opposite, they do more damage and take more damage, I believe, as well. So I know at least from the aspect that you take reduced damage if they're the same, and if they're opposite, you do more damage. So it could be work for both sides. I can't exactly remember, but that's the general gist of it. The thing about it is, it's got a really cool mechanic with the firecrackers you see in the bottom right corner. You can actually lay it down in a certain spot, and when it blows up, it changes the light to dark or the dark to light. So you'll run into enemies that can only be blocked by operators sitting on the same element as them, and a lot of times they're very quick, so you have to be extremely careful, A, not to miss the block, but B, to not change one that may be blocking one prior. So it's a really cool mechanic that I'm going to have to really experiment with and try to come up with the best ways of clearing these, because before this, until that point, and I'm not going to show it because I hadn't really get to flesh it out completely, because after this one I ended up doing some other stuff, but essentially right now I'm having an easy time clearing it, so I don't have to worry about swapping. Most of it is fairly simple, but I will say that those very big enemies you see there are very annoying to deal with, in the sense that while they're deployed and they're in front of you, if you're in range of attacking them, your heroes are more likely to attack them. Very, very rough to deal with, but after struggling with one of those for a little while, I decided to go back and do more of Grotting in the Knight's Treasure. Now, this is, I think, the first one that I had unlocked, and I'm finally getting it to 36 of 39. I had to do challenges on 3 different stages. I'm not sure why I didn't record that. I get that I'm trying to keep it smaller videos, but maybe it'd be more, or well, better to show like me going through a full event and showing each stage and talking about it more, instead of just showing them all at the end of the on Saturday, because I feel like I just don't have enough time in that sense. And also there, I spent 24 more OP, and I look back on it and I'm a little disappointed in myself, but because I thought the last time was the last one, but this one apparently is the last time that I do that. But I got a couple new heroes, interesting to say the least. Indigo having the conversion of 30% of her damage to arts is really nice. I might use that at some point. I do have Blue Poison though, which has the kind of same ability, but we'll see. I mean, it's something that I'd like to look at going forward. But we finished 4-9 of the main campaign, which was where I stopped at in the last part of the series. Once again, I don't show it, and I'm kicking myself now thinking about it. And also this one, I don't show the initial completion, except for the last little bit, which also makes me mad. I wish I had shown this, because this one's very important. The boss stage is the most important, if anything. But I did show the first playthrough when I went through practice and first tried it. So you get to see just how bad I got stomped the first time I tried it, because like I said, going in blind and not knowing what the boss is capable of is very much a challenge in itself, and I learned the hard way just how difficult this boss could be. So you'll see me quickly get wiped, but I do like this boss. This is a lot different than the other ones. The other ones were kind of you're playing, do a lot of damage. They have abilities where they can. The first one would skip around, the other one just doing a lot of damage and AoE, which is cool and all. But this one immediately wipes out Perfumer, so now I no longer have a healer there, and then just instantly decimates my team. So that was definitely a learning experience. So after struggling for a little bit, I decided, you know what? Just to get past this one, I'm going to use Ling and bully her. She's already wiped off the map. You didn't get to see it. Once again, it's just me being a bit dumb with my recording, and in hindsight, it is 2020, so, you know, going forward, guys, I will try to do more to show all this, but I will have to do an auto-deploy at some point, so I will have to change my strategy. Not having Ling to just carry me through that will be completely different overall. But we go into 5-1, I get a clear, not at 3 stars, and I realize that it's a bad idea to do that because you get less rewards. So it's kind of just a waste of sanity at that point. I could 3-star it, basically guarantee after practice and doing it if I do that right after practice, because I have done that before, didn't really map it out as well as I thought I did, and then missed it in the actual run. That can happen, but for the most part, as long as you know what's coming and you've got a general idea of what you're doing, it's a lot better. But once again, I go into it without a practice run, and I guess it's maybe my hubris, maybe because I thought I was doing well before then. I was not, anyway, ready for that stage, but I go in after seeing that I should block top lane with something. It was actually pretty easy after that. So essentially all I did was just change top lane and we were good. Now this one was an absolute pain because those arts casters on the side come in pretty quickly, and so one thing I definitely learned is that when it comes to the arts casters, it's generally a good idea to set a guard near them. Now I use Papacar here, not a great idea, but an arts guard is going to take care of them very quickly, especially if you can keep them alive. But I use some more pulls, and now I'm doing them one at a time because I know that I'm close to the 50 mark, 50 being where the pity system kicks in and you start to get a better chance of pulling a 6-star after. So I'm doing one at a time, basically because I don't want to use my OP, and then I can just use the Arundum, so when I do pull it, I can stop pulling on the banner. Now, Durnar is one of those that's only available in the credit shop, so since I had maxed Courier and Gavial from the credit store, I can now start purchasing Durnar to try to get her to max, and the credit store has been absolutely fantastic. The amount of building supplies and other resources has been such a huge help to me, especially because the building supplies are not hard to come by, but it does cost a bit to run the actual stage to get them, so anything I can save overall is a good thing. But we're going into one that I had a really hard time with early on, and I'm trying it now, and I realized as I was doing it, strategizing. So these scouts, if you attack them, anything that's on the screen is going to get extra attack speed, damage, that sort of thing. So if you alert them when no one is there, you're not going to have the roided up enemies coming at you all at once, so you're more likely to survive, less likely to just get punished for doing that. But as you see, I take the third one out before the big guy walks out of the door because he's going to hit like a truck, especially when you alert him and he runs at you. I needed to make sure that he doesn't have that extra buff on him. And that was really essentially all I needed to do for this mission, because other than that, it was pretty easy. The whole aspect of it is making sure that you alert them at different times and don't just stack a whole bunch of damage on yourself. So easy clear there. I did a practice run probably a couple times just to see the timing of when people were walking out. But that gives you a general explanation of what I thought of going into it. Now DM6 was a little different. I hate when they start out with these here, and there's, as you can see, a sentinel walking on the right side. He's got a long path walking through, but if I alert him, all 4 of those big guys are going to run straight at me, and I'm going to get demolished instantly. So I had to be careful how I did this. Now, this is a first run. And once again, I don't know why I'm not doing practice for this, but since the last one was easy, I guess my ego once again got in the way. And so I alert these two guys, and I'm thinking, I can handle both of them, but this guy at the top, the Sentinel, was already coming in. So that was my first mistake. I should have probably picked them off one at a time a little sooner, because when they come in one or two at a time, they're really not that hard to deal with. Now, the guy that just walked through the middle is a new guy, and he was an absolute pain. He does so much damage, and he gets multiple people, so that was a huge detriment to that actual fight. And I do go in with some planning and just pick around the different enemies, kind of alert them at different times so I could save the big guy for last. I don't remember if I used a support hero or not. I probably did, but for the most part I'm not going to be auto farming most of the side missions. Some of them may have better options for resources, but if I ever need to get to that point, I can go back in and 3-star it myself. Now this one is another one that was really not that bad. I did do practice runs of this beforehand, and so this isn't like a first time you're seeing here, but I do almost mess up with the spear chargers on the side. These guys are very, very annoying. They do a ton of damage, and even though they're being slowed down because the air vent is blowing against them, and I guess I should talk about the air vents. If it's blowing towards your back, you do more damage. If it's blowing against your face, your front side, then you do less damage. So you have to kind of work your way through that. Plus the enemies, depending on what part of the path they're walking through, either move faster or slower. And as you can see here, I do use Ling. So I guess I was just running through these with Ling so that I could do them easier. That's probably, once again, a side mission. I'm not too worried about it. But when it comes to future content, I do need to make sure I'm not using supports as often. Now, we hit a big milestone in level 35, so I'm buying the Pro Enhancement Pack and getting the free pack, because these are always such good supplies. So since I had got a random from that, I went and did some more pulls. And like I said, I'm doing one at a time to try to get the 6-star, and then I can stop. But I did get Cantabile once again, so I probably pulled her 5 times during this banner. So she's not going to be quite maxed out of prestige, but she is pretty close. But we're going to end it with this pull here, and I will see you in the next part. Peace.